57th Prime Minister. He's dishy, he's Rishi. What does the Daily Mail say?
Well, at least Biden, had a go at pronouncing his name. I'm impressed with that. So Rishi Sunak plunged the knife in on Liz Truss today after pledging to fix her mistakes and win back the public's trust after taking over as Britain's 57th Prime Minister.
Yes.
She's already dead, Rishi. You don't need to kick her anymore. Just let her be. But yeah, he gave a sombre speech. He warned of difficult decisions to deal with the profound economic crisis facing the country, saying he understood that Britons were suffering and, mistakes had been made.
Yes.
And he's trying to pin it all, the last 12 years.
Yes.
He's trying to pin it on Liz Truss.
2.5 hours she had, basically, of a budget that wasn't even enacted, was it? I think most of it.
Yeah, and in fact, the previous Chancellor, who was Rishi Sunak, might actually have something to do with it. So, some of the mistakes he made, well, he backed Boris despite knowing that he wasn't the sort of diligent, competent leader the country needed. He's a big fan of big spending projects. He loved lockdown, the furlough scheme, eat out to help out. I mean, he did try to end furlough early, but, implementing it in the first place. And, of course, he backed Brexit because he thought it was going to be economically beneficial. There's lots of reasons to back Brexit, but economics is not the reason.
It is odd, isn't it, Steve? That, well, I say odd. Is it questionable that he seems to have a reputation, beside all other sort of political... Most people think of him as economically competent, the safe pair of hands, I suppose, the Goldman Sachs background and so on. People think, well, at least he's inside the tent pissing out. But I don't know. I'm not sure that he has demonstrated that, to be honest, in his time in office.
I suppose his time in office is not a very good sample on which to try and extrapolate, unless we spend all of our lives having lockdowns and pandemic, probably the plural.
But his instincts and sentiments were tested and found to be of a certain stripe. Yeah,
but look at the contrast. And this is where he does really well. All he needs to do is compare and contrast to what Liz Truss did in a very short amount of time.
Yes.
And all of a sudden he looks really competent. I have a slight sympathy for him, the way the newspaper says that he stuck the knife in. He also had a go at Boris Johnson by saying that he'd have integrity. Wait a minute, if he can't use the word integrity without that being read as an insult to Boris, and can't imply that he'll be there for longer than 40 days without that being a slap across the face to Liz, he can't say anything.
I suppose there are different ways of doing it, and politics is politics. Obviously, to a large extent, it's just whatever works, isn't it? But I mean, when, for instance, Michael Heseltine decided he'd have enough of Thatcher, first of all, you resign from the cabinet. And then once you've situated yourself and unwrapped your sandwiches on the back benches, then you set about, saying what you really think. There was a sense, I think they used the term sticking the knife in to Boris because he was clearly briefing behind his back. He was responsible for a lot of the leaked photos taken from an unnamed window at number 11, with an adequate view of the parties and that sort of thing. There was a sense that he wasn't really doing it
Well, go on. I was going to say, even having the website was brought into question. Was it that he registered the domain ready for Rishi early on? So either he was going to run or some other kind of project was going to come out.
Possibly some sort of takeaway service. What did you think?
But, I mean, this is... Rishi really needs to ensure his own survival and any chance of winning the next election. He needs to bring the Conservative Party together. And that means, sort of bringing in Boris supporters, pro-Brexit Boris supporters, and also bringing in Truss's side of the party who want it to be an actually Conservative party instead of just New Labour with a different badge on it. So, by sort of alienating them, with his opening speech, he's not doing that.